is actually so creepy because on Wednesday, my boyfriend, best friend, and I watched this on DVD in my house. And then since then, my For You page has been full of little clips of it. But Juno is one of my favorite films, and it made me want to make a video about it because I particularly noticed the comment sections of those clips. People were saying, oh my God, I watched this as a kid. Now I'm watching it as an adult and I see it totally differently. And that is the point. And that is why movies are so freaking cool. In case you've never seen the movie, it's about a girl named Juno who finds herself pregnant at 16 years old. Father, Polly, is not Juno's boyfriend. And that's relevant because Juno does decide to keep the pregnancy and find adoptive parents for it. Enter our two other main characters, Mark and Vanessa. I'll get back to them in a second. But this is not a coming-of-age story so much as it is a story of a girl who thinks she's wise beyond her years, being forced to confront whether or not that's really true when she finds herself in the most mature situation ever. The themes of childishness and maturity are expanded upon within Mark and Vanessa and their relationship because they are a couple in their 30s who have tried to conceive for many years. She is dead set on becoming a mother, but he is stuck in the past trying to be a musician. Ish really hits the fan when we see Mark and Juno start to spend more and more time together, which makes sense for their characters because Juno is a teenager, pumped full of hormones, pregnant with the baby of a boy that won't specify whether he likes her. Polly is running because he's a boy and not a man, but Juno's a girl and not a woman having to deal with this. Meanwhile, Mark is in his 30s about to welcome a baby when he'd rather be 17 playing rock in a garage somewhere. This relationship is the thing that myself and all those other commenters were saying they noticed to be way different through the eyes of an adult. If you watch closely, you'll actually take note that the movie really emphasizes the immaturity of the teenage characters. This set design, this classroom looks like it should be for kindergartners, not high school juniors. This is the flashback where we see Juno get a note from Polly, and that's how they start having their little fling. This is a girl with a crush, not a woman. This is her as she tells Polly that she's pregnant. You can see she masks her pain and confusion and anxiety with jokes. She does in fact have a lot of pain to hide because Polly isn't really giving her many answers. But the emphasis remains that we can't even really place blame on Polly because he is a boy and not a man. Here he is sitting on his twin race car bed. One of the most iconic aspects of the film Juno is her burger phone, which she uses to schedule an abortion that she obviously doesn't get. The set design actually intentionally clashes with the emotions of the scene, really emphasizing that this is a kid dealing with big, dark adult issues. In the opening scene, after she leaves the convenience store where she bought all the pregnancy tests, Juno buys this rope candy that she hangs over a branch in her parents' front yard for a moment. She ties it into a noose and then she ends up biting through it. But again, it's like a comedic and equally heartbreaking moment. The film maintains a feel-good atmosphere overall because Juno is well supported by her parents. This is her stepmom, that's her best friend. There actually is a very prominent running theme of predatory adult figures in the movie, but we're also seeing it through the lens of 16-year-old Juno. We're shown early on that her best friend has a very inappropriate relationship with one of their teachers. And if you rewatch, you'll realize that that is foreshadowing for the relationship to come between Mark and Juno. About halfway through the film, Juno decides to drive over with an ultrasound photo, but Vanessa is not home, it's just Mark. He ends up staying over there for a couple of hours. He shows her all of his CDs, the guitars he owns, and even plays her some of the retro scary movies he's got on tape. The adolescent flirtatious conversation between them is so cringy to watch in my mid-20s. As kids, we didn't get it, which proves the film's point, that kids don't get it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like the entire movie, I'm just giving Mark the bombastic side eye. A lot of viewers have actually said they had trouble liking Jason Bateman for a while after watching him in this film, which means that he did a really good job. Let's remember he's an actor. And on the other side of things, completely disconnected despite the fact that they're married, Juno and Vanessa have this really beautiful relationship where Juno's childishness just kind of lets her bare her soul toward this woman who is very, very nervous and insecure. Not only made insecure by her fertility issues, which frankly, if you really want to go deep into it, I think Mark was like sabotaging it, but also insecure because deep down this woman is extremely capable and intelligent, and she knows that Mark is not going to be on board for this. This particular scene is painful to watch. Mark gives Juno a comic book of a pregnant superhero, and then they slow dance, which he decides is the perfect time to break the news to her that he's going to leave Vanessa because he doesn't want to have the life of a suburban father. He's going to pursue his rock dreams in the city. He's already secured an apartment, and this conversation does not go the way that he wants at all. You can almost kind of tell that he wants to ask her to come with him. But this devastates Juno because Mark and Vanessa, in her eyes, were perfect. She actually says that in the film. If we just defer back to Juno's teenage issues, like her situationship, nothing is going well there. She has this pregnancy. The only good thing about it is that this perfect couple is going to take the baby and everything will be okay. As a child, Juno did not have the wherewithal to see Mark for who he was, a bad guy. The scene that follows is extremely significant. Juno goes to rush out of the house and runs into Vanessa, who's just getting home. She sees that Juno's crying, she asks if she's okay, and then she sees Mark come into the room, and that's when this look comes onto her face. She looks straight at him and says, "What did you do?" This drew me back to a moment that I caught when I rewatched it on Wednesday. Mark and Vanessa have to explain to Juno that they did have a girl they were going to adopt a baby from before, but it just didn't work out. It's a very awkward moment, and there's a lot of silence and pointed looks, but given all the other context by the end of the film, it's my particular theory that Mark made that girl uncomfortable as well. Vanessa clocked it so quickly because she's had to go through this before. So by the end of the film, of course, Juno and Polly do make up. They become boyfriend and girlfriend despite the awkward circumstances. Again, even in the labor and delivery unit, Juno's being her goofy teenage self. Polly shows up after the birth of the baby, and this is the first scene where we see them truly act like potentially almost an adult couple because they went through something very, very serious and intense together. We see a beautiful end for Vanessa, who does end up adopting Juno's child. She successfully got rid of her man baby, so this baby should be a piece of cake for her. And the film's ending is actually really beautiful because it's resuming Juno's teenage life. She rides her bike over to her boyfriend Polly's house and they play guitar together and the credits roll. There's no way I will ever watch this movie without getting super emotional. I'll swap between laughing and sobbing. I'll look like a crazy person. I don't care. If you haven't seen it, you should.